Hi, I'm Curt Mitchell. Welcome to the 50 Greatest Riffs Ever Recorded. That's a heck of a title for a tape, huh? 50 of them. Only 50, no more, no less. Here's what's going to happen. The riffs that you think should be on here, the ones that you really think are the best riffs in the world, are probably not on here. Because everybody's going to have a different opinion about which 50 riffs are the best riffs ever recorded. So what we did was we put them up to a criteria. We made sure that they were popular. We made sure you could recognize them. You can recognize some of them, not even know the title of the band. We made sure they were relatively easy to play, because usually if they're difficult, they're no good anyways, and they're not hits. So we made sure that they stood the test of time, too. In other words, most of them are older riffs because they've lasted forever. They're the ones that keep getting played on the oldie stations. The 70s are now oldies, and they play them all the time. So we have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, I couldn't keep it down to 50. There's like 61 or 62 of them. So what I want to do now is tune up. I'm going to give you an A, open fifth string. I want you to tune your guitar to me, okay? Tune to my A. Tune your A to my A. Stop the tape and tune the rest of your guitar to that A, and come back and check, make sure we're in tune, and we'll proceed. Or if you have a tuner, go ahead and tune to your tuner. We're in standard pitch A440, okay? And so let me give you an A, and we'll get on with it, all right? Now that we've tuned up, I want to explain a little bit about the equipment we're using. I'm going to be using a Fender Strat. I'm going to be using a Warmoth. That's a copy of the Strat with a Floyd Rose on it and a double coil pickup at the back. And I'm going to be playing a Martin acoustic guitar that is my pride and joy for the acoustic. There's not very much acoustic on this, so we won't worry about it too much. I'm running through a Marshall 100-watt head, Super Lead, an old one, that's a real cool amp. I've had modified, and I'm running through a little bit of like this micro amp thing that boosts the gain on this Strat because the pickup's so weak. There's two things you got to remember if you're going to play a Strat. If you want a fat tone out of them without changing the pickups, you got to play heavy strings. These are 11s. And if you want to get some more gain out of them, you got to use something to build the gain up, because the pickups are real weak, but they have tone. The stronger the pickup, the less the tone you have in general. So. What else? We'll explain about some things as we go on. I'm not going to be changing sounds and dialing the sounds in on this one. We usually dial the sounds in for whatever riff we're doing. If we did that, we'd be dialing a sound in every single riff, and it gets kind of ridiculous. So we're just going to mainly use this guitar and get the in general tone. And you keep an eye on this pickup switch here, and you'll see which pickups I'm using. And I'll explain that to you in a little bit too. Okay? So let's get on with it. This is riff number 1. Okay? Once again. Once again. riff number 4, we're going to be using a wah-wah pedal. I have one that's also a volume pedal that I'm not too happy with. I can't wait to get myself a crybaby. I'm getting one pretty quick because I played one, and basically they're the cool stuff. What happens is when you step down on them and rock back on them, they have an amplifier in them that keeps the gain the same, because on the one I got, when you step down on it, it goes to the top end, it cuts the gain down. When you step back on it, it boosts it up, and it's too loud. It muds up the tone. So anyways, my advice, probably a crybaby. They're pretty cool. Okay, here's riff number 4. Once again. Riff 7 here, we're going to be using our fingers to pluck at the strings, okay? So you want to take and use these 2 fingers, and sometimes you can use your pick. What happens is you can use your pick and these 2 fingers, okay? Or you can put your pick right here. What you do is you take your pick, you're holding it like this, slide it in between and hold it right here. You can do this for tapping. You can do it for a lot of things, but it allows you to finger pluck too. And basically, this is a country and western riff, both kinds, country and western. So let's get on with riff number 7, okay? On riff 10 here, we're going to tune to an open D, a relatively open D. I'll give you the strings so you can see what they are. What happens is you take your E string and you drop it a step down to D. Okay. You take your A string, leave it alone. A. And you have another D, same as ever. A G. Now your B, you drop down to A. And your E, you drop down to D. Okay? So you take the top two strings, the smallest string, and the bottom string, fattest string, and you tune them all down one step. Okay? The rest of them you leave alone. So here it is again, from the biggest string to the smallest. D, A, D, G, A, and D. Pretty cool tuning too. So let's get on with it. Riff 13. Here on Riff 15 is a tone that was way ahead of its time. As a matter of fact, all the grunge stuff, in my opinion, all the grunge stuff came from this period of there's about 3 or 4 years of some seriously heavy Black Sabbath stuff going on, and the guitars were really distorted, and it was really slow and heavy and mean, and that's basically what the Seattle thing sounds like to me. Let me explain one more thing to you. I'm going to show you my pickup selection switch right now. You keep an eye on it and you'll see which pickup I'm using. And if you don't have a Stratocaster to mock the thing, you can go ahead and use whatever you got. If it's a front pickup sound, use your front pickup. It gives you that bassy sort of tone. If it's a crisper, nasalier sound, use your bridge pickup, okay? But I'll show you what they sound like right now, so check it out. So here's my bridge pickup, okay? My switch is all the way down. And you can follow that with these two pickups being on. This is done a lot in Southern rock, and this is kind of a cool sound that only Strats really can get in guitars with this pickup configuration, actually. But it's what this sounds like. It's hard to tell exactly what it sounds like with that much distortion on it, but it's a cool sound. Here's the middle pickup. You can see the switch in the middle here. Might be kind of hard to tell, but in general, you can tell where it is. You know I can when I'm watching other guys play on TV. So this is the middle pickup. And this is these two on. It's called out of phase. It's not really out of phase. It's just these two pickups on. That's what it sounds like. Real low endy. And here's the next pickup. And over and above that, I'm just basically varying the amounts of distortion I'm using. Anywhere from super saturated, like this Riff 15 distorted all the pieces, to a relatively clean sound, putting some reverb on and taking it off sometimes. But that's done through the board. Don't worry about all this stuff. This is not what you need to make good guitar sound. Like I said, using a guitar, a preamp, a head, and a cabinet. Okay? Let's get on with it. This is Riff 15. On Riff 17 here, we've cut the highs off with our guitar and cranked the distortion to give you this, well, you'll see, let's check it out, Riff 17. Let's take that in two parts, first the bottom part. again. One more time slower. Once again. Once again. Go 27. One more time. Here on Riff 39, we're going to be using our pick, right? Holding it like this, and using our middle finger to pluck at these strings. And we're cranking all the highs off. And we're using our out of phase position, right? Or not out of phase, like I said. We're using the back 2 pickup position, okay? Really cool sound. I like this one. Riff 39. Once again. Demonstrate the pick hand with this. You're basically holding onto your pick and plucking with your middle finger. 2 strings at a time. This is how it looks. One more time. Well, Riff 41, 42, and 43, I've strapped the trusty guitar on. That's my main squeeze. It's got a bridge pickup in it and no others. And it's got your old Floyd Rose. I also unhooked the distortion because I don't need it because this pickup is pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. I keep this guitar tuned down half a step, and which is why I put it on for you, because we're tuned down half a step for this. I wouldn't advise tuning my whole guitar down half a step for these 3 riffs we're going to check out, unless you really want to check out the sound. I thought I'd do it because this guitar is always tuned down half a step, and I wanted to show it to you the way it sounds. It gives you a fatter sound. I like it. This is riff number 41. Anyways, let's get on with it. Okay, here's riff 41. Riff 43. Once again. Here on Riff 45, there's a strong classical guitar influence on this. Andre Segovia invented classical guitar style of guitar playing back in the turn of the century, and basically it involves a right-hand type of dexterity that's not finger picking, but it's plucked at. And you'll see. Here's Riff 45. Okay, let's get to it. Once again. These next couple of riffs are some serious, like, surf punk riffs, dude. From, like, you know, surfers, except for the one band's from Nebraska, okay? But, you know, still a surf riff, okay? Let's check them out. these last two riffs I'm going to do on acoustic for you. I'm going to park myself in a chair and play some of this for you. This is a this thing. This is a Martin 1951 Martin 018. This thing sounds so good. If you ever have a chance to get a Martin, grab it and don't let it go. There is only one acoustic guitar. Okay? So when next we see each other, I'll be sitting down. Okay? 59. Once again. Quick and slow. Once again. Quick and slow. Well, that's about it. I know we didn't cover all the riffs that need to be covered. There just isn't room on one tape. I know that you and I differ in opinions about which riffs are cool. My favorite riffs aren't on here. The stuff I like, Steve Morris, the Dregs, and things like that. I mean, you know, I didn't put those on here because they're not. He's not a radio guy. He's a great guitar player. He's the best guitar player, but he's not a radio guy. So we took stuff that was popular, stuff that everybody would recognize, and we threw them on here. We had a good time making it. And by the way, I completely forgot. There's two more riffs I'm going to give you right now, since I forgot about them. So I got to put these on. Okay. So this is we didn't have 60. Now we got 62 riffs on the 50 greatest riffs that ever recorded. All right. Here's 61. Our last riff, riff 62. I threw some reverb on here for you, and here we go. How could I forget this one, right? Well, that definitely wraps it up. I'm going to leave you with a song that I've been goofing around with for some guy who's a friend of mine that we're going to try to be doing a dance record for. So I'm going to be goofing around with it while we fade away here. Sorry I didn't get to your riff, man. I'm sorry your favorite riff's not on here. Possibly on the next one, huh? Till then, I'm Curt Mitchell, and I'll see you later, all right?